All right, on today's episode, I interviewed the founder of La Parfumerie in Winnipeg, Manitoba. Where's
La Parfumerie.
La Parfumerie?
It's French.
La Parfumerie in Winnipeg, Manitoba, where since 1993 he's specialized in custom blending of natural perfumes using only the highest quality perfume and essential oils. He's created personal scents for thousands of Winnipeggers and visitors from around the world. His line of perfumes, known as Nothing Perfume, has expanded to include 23 perfumes available in handcrafted pendants, bottles, candles, and body mist that are sold in over 400 stores across North America and Europe. Welcome to the Winner Circle,
Thank you.
Michael O'Malley.
Thank you. It's a
So,
pleasure to be here.
yeah, I'm really excited to have this conversation. This kind of originated me stopping in here randomly and just being amazed by this business you've created for over 30 years and the mastery you've developed in perfume and scents. And it was just so interesting. I got talking with you a bit about your story, and I said you'd be the perfect guest on my podcast where I talk to people who kind of going outside the unconventional 9 to 5 world to really pursue something they're passionate about, their win. And yeah, that's what you're doing. I'm excited to delve into your story here on this on Welcome to the Winner Circle and share it with so many. Because when we get to hear people's heroes' journeys, how they got to where they are, then it becomes real, right? Someone can look on the outside and they say, "Oh, he has this incredible building, 31 years, all these perfumes everywhere. Like I can never start there." But when they hear,
Well, I didn't start like this either. You know, when I started in 1993, I only had 14 different oils.
Yeah.
At the very beginning, I started on less than a shoestring.
Yeah.
And now there's over 250 different oils. You know, so it's been a gradual evolution.
Yeah. Well, then let's just get into it right away. Like, how did those 14 oils come into hand? Like, what inspired you to start this business?
Well, that's a long story.
Well,
do we have enough time?
We do have enough time.
Well, back in the 80s, I was, having a little bit of a lost soul period of time, and I was in Vancouver, spending some time with some fellow seekers, if you will. And one day, one of them, a woman named Rosemary, came up to me and just put a drop of frankincense on me. Before that day, I'd never had any interest in colognes or scent or anything. It just hadn't even crossed my mind. Anyways, from that drop of frankincense, I went into another world. It was extraordinary. It was like taking LSD or something.
Yeah.
Like it was just very, very profound. And so anyway, I asked some questions after that happened, and found out from Rosemary and another man there named Yatsik about other folks down in California that were, working with oils, I guess as tools for spiritual evolution.
Yeah.
They were doing that, and I was pretty intrigued, I've got to tell you. And so about 6 months later, I traveled down to California and met up with people down there that were doing this in a big way. Actually, not as much as like I'm doing now, but a big way in terms of that time. And I went into that little perfume shop, and they were doing custom blending of perfumes. And I just instantly knew, I'm going to do this. Like I was teaching math at that time.
Uh-huh.
And there was just something about it. I started to laugh. I had this deep, deep belly laugh, Buddha laugh, if you will. And I just found myself laughing so hard. And I say to myself, anything that makes me laugh this much, I must do it. I just knew. So then I spent, the next 4 years, learning. And I had a lot of learning to do. And then finally opened my my shop in 1993.
Mm-hmm. A few questions to come from there. So first, you're teaching math. Were you happy with that, or did you feel kind of a calling in your heart that you were meant for something different?
Well, I studied mathematics in university. I did a degree in mathematics. And while doing the degree, I was asked by one of the professors to run a calculus lab, because a lot of first-year students really struggle. And found I was good at it. Like I realized after a while that I was a much better teacher than mathematician.
Yeah.
But anyway, I got my math degree and I started a tutoring business. And I used the revenue, the income from the tutoring business to start this business.
Yeah.
And I mean, this is my life's work, but I really, really love teaching.
Okay.
You know, and the thing with this work, there's teaching in this. You know, a lot of people come in here and they have questions and they want to learn about the oils and the processes, and so it's, you know, I'm still an educator.
Yeah, yeah.
It's you know, sort of a different kind of educator. Interestingly, you know, before opening the perfumery, I was traveling to students' homes to provide them their lessons. Once I started the perfumery, I told the students and their parents that I would no longer do that they'd have to come to the perfumery to get their lessons. And the kids loved it. They absolutely loved it. And it turned out my first wave of customers when I started the business were my students and their families.
Yeah.
Yeah. And anyway, it got very, very popular. And within a year of starting the perfumery, the tutoring business just exploded. And I ended up having to hire a whole bunch of other tutors in order to keep up with it.
That's great.
It was just, it was crazy the way, the synchronicity of the whole thing. And I ended up, you know, keeping the tutoring business going for another 5 or 6 years until eventually it just became too much. I just had too much going on and I had to let go of the tutoring.
Yeah, that's a good problem to have.
Yeah, it was a good problem to have. Yeah.
So it's interesting how you didn't just jump straight into creating a business from nothing. You took time to transition. So you use your tutoring to help you transition into making this a full-time profession. So often people they have visions, and it doesn't mean you have to quit your job right away. It's something you could do hand in hand simultaneously. Right. And so your story kind of
I would recommend that to anyone. To have a transitional strategy, if you will. You know, a lot of businesses don't last very long. And so that was the transition that worked for me. And you know, but you think about so many other fields of endeavor, you know, and like young guys that are playing hockey and they get a scholarship.
Yeah.
You know, they're going to school and getting an education, playing hockey, hoping they'll make it to the NHL.
Yeah.
But if they don't, they're getting trained in something else, right?
Yeah.
So it's a good idea to have that going. Now, having said that, I did work really hard. I mean, the first 2 years I was in business, I didn't have a day off in 2 years. You know, it's like, really pushed at it.
Yeah,
and I knew I wanted to do it, but
that's an important reminder. Like, it's not going to come easy. It doesn't always come easy, and it often takes a lot of sweat, blood, tears, and whatever your endeavor is.
Yeah, was it Einstein that said genius is 9 parts inspiration and 1 part sweat? Was that Einstein?
I don't know. I'm not sure, but
or no, 9 parts sweat and 1 part inspiration.
Yeah. Put in the hard work.
It's mostly hard work, eh?
What inspired you to work hard? Like, what kept you going?
Well, it goes back to that first drop of frankincense where there was just this really deep, deep recognition. This is what I'm meant to do. You know, I just knew it. And I guess I was lucky. I mean, you know, people talk about love at first sight. Sometimes, you know, a couple of people meet and they just fall in love and spend the next 50 or 60 years together. Mm-hmm. And it's just this extraordinary thing. And so that's what this has been like for me.
Yeah.
You know, I just knew right away.
Yeah.
And how did I know? I don't know how I knew. I just knew. I mean, many, many years after I started the business, I met a woman in British Columbia, a mystic, and an older person, and spent an afternoon with her talking. And, you know, we had a really nice visit. And at the end of the visit, she says to me, you know, Michael, you've been making perfume for many lifetimes now.
Yeah.
And I said, oh, really? I don't have any memory of such a thing.
Yeah.
And then she says to me, but you know, Michael, this time you're a nice person.
That's interesting. That's a whole other conversation. We can get to that later, but I have some more follow-ups from what you initially shared. So you decided you wanted to do this. Was there any doubt? Was it like you just knew?
No, I've never had a moment of doubt with this. Never.
It's incredible. People dream of that.
Yeah.
And what, like, how, like,
When I
how
when
do
I
you explain
opened
that?
when I opened the shop in 1993 in Osborne Village, half of the retail spaces were vacant.
Yeah.
People thought I was crazy to start a business.
Yeah.
You know, the economy in Manitoba was terrible.
Yeah.
You know, people were really having a hard time, but I just knew.
Yeah.
And I don't know how I knew. I just knew.
And there was never any fear then,
No,
or
no.
what about along the path? Like, has fear ever come up?
Well, I mean, there's risks, eh? Every step of the way you're taking risks, and so there's always this awareness that something might not work, you know.
Yeah.
And not everything I've tried has worked. I mean, there's certainly been products and perfumes. There's been mistakes made along the way, but I never ever doubted that. I never. What would I say? Yeah, I never doubted that I was in the right place.
Okay.
You know, I knew I was doing what I was supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So along the way, what have you learned about fear?
What have I learned about fear?
Yeah.
I don't think this has been a part of my life where I've been studying fear.
Okay. It's been a very small player.
I would say that I learned lots about fear, a long time ago, before any of this. Yeah.
Okay. Because a lot of people.
There's real things to be afraid of in this world, for sure.
Like what?
Well, there's all these wars everywhere, and there's mean people.
Yeah.
And horrible people out there, and yeah.
But failing at perfume launch or a business, those are fearful. But like, I don't know, from my experience, and I'm sure yours, they've only offered opportunity for more expansion and growth.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So just recognizing the failures, in quotation, as blessings, as opportunities to, do something different.
Yeah. I mean, for sure. Yeah. If you do something and it doesn't work, you can get down on yourself. You can beat yourself up about it, or you can just sit down and ask yourself, okay, what happened here? What can I learn from this?
Yeah.
Just like in relationships.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't say I've never had a failed relationship. Because every relationship I've had, I've grown from.
Yeah, and they've helped make the next one even more stronger.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
So I started educating yourself for 4 years after getting that spark from that that lady Rosemary with the frankincense.
Yeah.
What did that education look like? And can you educate us? Yeah, like what is a perfume? What is a high quality perfume versus a low quality perfume? What is an essential oil? And what is the difference between the product you make and the stuff you could just buy in the mass market grocery store?
That's about 15 different questions right there.
Yeah. Well, good thing you've been educated.
The most important thing when learning about scent and learning about perfumery is the breath. And in yoga, they talk a lot about breath and about how to breathe. And the practice of smelling something and smelling it deeply, as opposed to just smelling something on the surface.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very different thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, living or being in the world from the deep self versus being on an ego trip in the world. And so, in yoga, they talk about there's that place where you take a deep breath and the inhalation goes right down to the bottom of the belly, to the core of the being. And there's that moment, that brief moment before the exhalation begins. That's where the deep self lives.
Mm-hmm.
And the place where one can learn about scent is that place when you smell something and breathe it into the core of your being and recognize the spirit in that substance you're smelling, whether it's a floral or a tree resin or an herb. or citrus, whatever it is.
Yeah, wow.
Same thing, you know, when I'm making a perfume for someone, the first thing I ask permission to do is to smell your skin.
Uh-huh.
And what I want to do when I'm smelling someone, I want to smell your soul. I want to smell your deep self.
Yeah.
And that's information that I need so that I can make the right perfume for you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's only one of your questions I've answered.
And yeah, what an incredible reminder, though, of the power of the breath, and not only just when we're smelling, but just breathing, just really savoring each and every breath and being present with each and every breath.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. A good
yeah,
reminder.
and so it's yet another type of meditation,
Yeah.
or a prayer. You
Yeah.
know, like I tell people that, you know, for me, making perfume for someone, it's a prayer for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a celebration and a recognition of the divine.
It's a real savoring too. It sounds
A
like.
savoring, yeah. I like that. Yeah.
So yeah, that's one of the questions. The other is just what's the difference between the products you create versus just something at like the mass market?
Yeah. Okay, so the word perfume. The original meaning for the word perfume, going back hundreds of years, is mixture of essential oils.
Yeah.
The chemical products corporations kind of stole that word and started mixing in alcohol and all these aroma chemicals and all these things, and mixing them all together and calling those things perfumes.
Yeah.
And they're not.
Nor do they have spirit.
Good point. Yeah. And so, you know, the difference is that I don't use alcohol. I don't use any alcohols in my perfumes, for one thing.
Uh-huh.
And I'm mostly using essential oils. I use some synthetics, you know, but you know, if you look on the shelf here, everything with a white label is an essential oil. And then the ones with blue labels are synthetics. And so, you know, more than 75% of what I'm working with are essential oils. But sometimes there's certain effects that fragrances are, you know, useful for.
Yeah.
Yeah. And generally, what I sell to people is pure perfume, not undiluted.
Yeah.
You know, most of the products that are out there in the regular department stores, of course, are diluted with alcohol and water. And that's the difference.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And from the feedback you've received from your customers and the people you work with, like, why do they keep on coming back? Why do they love your product versus just the stuff you could buy online or what differentiates how your products makes them feel versus the over-the-counter type of product?
I think the people who come back don't look at it as a product.
Okay.
I think they look at it as a sacrament.
Explain that.
What a sacrament is?
Yeah, and how explain that in relation to.
It's because I think that you know, the people that are really resonating with what I do, and the people that keep coming back, are people who are finding that the scent that they have is, you know, supporting their own spiritual evolution.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And so anything anybody uses or does to do that, to assist, an assisting factor, if you will, for your spiritual evolution, I would call a sacrament.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and so there's many other, you know, there's some people that use music or dance, you know, there's all sorts of sacred activities that people use for that purpose. Yeah.
And how about yourself? What has your spiritual journey looked like? When did it begin, and what has it evolved into, and what's it look like today?
I mean, the whole time at the Perfumerie has been a spiritual journey, you know, but the journey began long before that. Yeah, I would say, you know, just as a child, or maybe around the age of 11 or 12, and just recognizing the infinite.
Okay.
You know, and then, you know, a few years later, you know, with the craziness of the times, getting, you know, freaked out by the infinite and nothingness. Eh?
Yeah.
And then many years later again, making peace with the infinite and with nothingness.
Yeah.
And then this is all before starting the Perfumerie, and then recognizing that in our culture there's a lot of false advertising about death. Yeah. And making peace with that as well, I would say. Yeah. And yeah, it took a lot of healing from the traumas early in life to get to a place where I was, you know, ready to begin the perfume adventure, I would say.
Okay.
Yeah, and you know, I felt like when you know, I think, how old was I? I think I was 35 when I started the Perfumerie, and at that point in life, I think I knew a lot more about death and suffering than I knew about life.
Yeah.
And then starting the Perfumerie, it was just like this embrace of being alive.
Yeah.
And then a whole new kind of learning. Eh?
Yeah.
You know, learning about people, learning about myself, and I'm so grateful. I'm just so grateful for the opportunity I've had, you know, just to grow and develop it. And yeah, and even like now, it's ongoing. You know, this is a really, really wonderful environment for growth.
And through all the people you've connected with, like, what are some commonalities amongst all these customers, all these people that you've met along your journey?
Yeah, I mean, it's been pretty diverse.
Okay.
It's, you know, like I've had all sorts of people. I gotta tell you, and I mean, it's amazing. You know, like there's such a intimacy that I experience with people when I'm making a perfume for people.
Yeah.
You know, for someone, eh? And a deep connection, you know, that I have, and then they're gone.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the people I think that really get it, I guess, would be seekers like you and I, you know, like we are. They're seekers, and not everybody that comes in here is that. You know, some people are living more on the surface of things, and that's where they are.
Yeah,
for sure. There's some people that come in that I work with who really inspire me, and other people, you know, less so.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, it's like, it's extraordinary the way, you know, we can combine with other people and multiply.
Yeah.
And be, you know, here we are, the two of us. But sometimes, you know, you get together with somebody and you become 10 times what you are, not just double.
Yeah.
And that happens a lot here, eh? And you know, lots of people have, you know, big healing events when they're here.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, just, you know, from just that experience of really being heard. You know, and people try to fib to me in the Perfumerie.
Oh yeah.
Well, Canadians are so polite, you know, and so, you know, you smell this, and they say, oh yeah, that's okay. And I can tell that they're lying.
From all these thousands of conversations you've had.
And it's just, and it's nothing malicious about it. It's just Canadians that don't want to say anything mean, you know.
Yeah.
So listen, you gotta tell, I can tell you don't really like it.
Yeah, yeah.
And so it takes a little bit of doing. Not with everybody, but it takes some effort on my part to get people to be truthful.
Yeah.
And honesty, of course, is the foundation of intimacy.
Yeah. Honesty is the foundation of intimacy.
Yeah. You knew that.
Yeah. I'm just reminding myself, you know, the importance of being
Yeah.
honest and the importance of communication.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that's a huge skill you've learned here is communication.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's beyond just the words.
Yeah, I learned a lot about communication before starting to work here, actually.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I feel like the year where I really learned to communicate was took a gap year after my first year of university, and I went hitchhiking.
Yeah.
I hitchhiked all over
Where did you
Canada, United States, Mexico, South America.
go? Okay.
I spent a whole year on the road, and that was the year I learned how to talk to people.
Okay.
And I felt like, after I graduated from university, and I looked back, and I felt like I learned more during that year of hitchhiking than I did in 4 years of university.
Yeah, real experiential education versus
Yeah.
just sitting there and being told this is this.
Yeah.
Interesting. Also, before you came truly to life, as you said, starting this, getting that spark by that frankincense, you had to learn a lot about death. What have you learned about death then, and how has that changed? Because we don't often talk about death. It's something
we're in a
push
culture.
aside
Yeah, we're
as
in a
culture.
culture where people are, afraid of death.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was, because I had experienced some tragedies when I was younger,
Yeah.
and I was very confused about death and dying, and what that meant. Most cultures, have spiritual practices that help people get to a deeper understanding about the relationship between life and death.
Mm-hmm.
And in Buddha, the Buddhists talk about no self,
Mm-hmm.
the meditation where someone attempts to access the quality of consciousness associated with there not being anything saying I feel, I think, I hope,
Mm-hmm.
I see, I smell. It's that consciousness that's completely independent of anything that would say I.
Yeah.
In Christianity, they call that the resurrected Christ.
Mm-hmm.
And those particular types of practices eventually can help people to get to a more genuine understanding of the difference between life and death, and what death is and what death isn't.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Another way of referring to that could be non-phenomenal consciousness.
Okay.
In ordinary life, our consciousness it's a phenomena. There's all this phenomena. But it turns out there's this other form of consciousness that's independent of phenomena.
Mm-hmm.
And so from a scientific point of view rather than a religious point of view,
Yeah.
we could speak of non-phenomenal awareness. Yeah.
And it's infinite, I believe.
Oh yeah, it's always infinite.
Yeah.
I mean that's one of the most beautiful things in mathematics, of course, is that infinity is everywhere.
Yeah.
Like between there and there on my fingers,
Yeah.
there's infinity in there. There's an infinite number of points in that little space, and in there too, there's still infinity.
Yeah.
And right there's still infinity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Forget.
There's nothing but infinity.
Yeah.
And then at the same time, from a Buddhist perspective, there's nothing at all. There's nothing happening. Nothing ever has happened. Nothing ever will happen.
Yeah. And it's interesting, your perfume is nothing perfume.
Yeah.
Can you explain why you chose that?
Well, yeah, I just have. I just explained it. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it was, it was a thing, eh? I remember that. I for many years, I'd go out traveling. I'd go on the road with my products and sell them to other shops. I did that for over 20 years. And in the early days, at one point, I was on a road trip and I was on the freeway. I think I was in Missouri somewhere. And I was, processing all of this. I'm driving down the highway from one store to another, visiting people. And it was like I got hit by lightning. It was spiritual lightning.
Uh-huh.
and the whole relationship between nothingness and essence. Essential oils are the essence, the essences of things.
Yeah.
And it was like, I had to get off the highway and check into a hotel room because it was just such a profound hit that I got, with just this recognition about the profound relationship between the essence of life, the essential things,
Yes.
and nothingness.
Uh-huh.
And and I recognize that they're two sides of the same coin.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like this coin that's just spinning through infinity, through the infinite universe that we live in. And on one side of the coin is nothingness,
Yeah.
and then on the other side of the coin is essence.
Yeah.
Or scent. And it was at that point I realized this is what I'm doing. It's nothing perfume.
Incredible.
Yeah.
So
it was a good day.
Yeah. And how has that helped you understand that helped you come to terms with like death of your own physical vessel? But how did it help you cope with losing people that you care about? And like that's another fear. People are fear of the people they love dying. And both you and I have lost people in various ways to death. So yeah, what have you learned about that process? The process of death and grief.
It's a lot of false advertising about grief.
Uh-huh.
Like everything comes and goes.
Yeah.
Like nothing is permanent. Everything is impermanent, and we just have a little while. That's all we have. We don't have a long time. No one does. And it ain't personal. It is personal, but it isn't. When somebody dies, like they're not trying to piss you off. They've just died.
Physically.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can still access them.
And relating and connecting, with people, with other people, with other beings.
Yeah.
From that non-phenomenal aspect. Is a wonderful alternative to getting all griefed up.
Uh-huh.
And we can do that during life. We can do that during the transition between life and death.
Uh-huh.
And we can do that afterwards too.
Mm-hmm. I feel like the what you learned about from Perfume, like the essence of things.
Mm-hmm.
I think the essence of things have a real impact both while we're here and when we leave.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's lots of opportunity once we become aware of that.
I agree. Yeah. Yeah, I get a certain number of folks that come in here who are grieving, that have gone through unspeakable losses,
Uh-huh.
And I just consider it an honor to be present with those folks.
Uh-huh.
And this is a good place, for people that are, experiencing unspeakable grief.
Yeah.
It's a good place to be for them.
Yeah. Scent has the power to remind them of, or to take them somewhere else.
Or to get them right where they are.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or, just to be where you are.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's incredible. So, who have been some key teachers, mentors, helpers, allies that have influenced you on your journey? Who were they? And what were the major takeaways you learned from them that you've incorporated into the man you are today?
I'm working on a book. I'm writing a book right now called Hitchhiking with Rose.
Okay.
Because, I did some hitchhiking and then spent all those years on the road selling perfumes. And there's a chapter in the book that I'm working on, and it's called A Village of Gurus.
Okay.
And what I have to say about that is that it took a whole village of gurus to save my sorry ass. They say it takes a village to raise a child and so forth. It took a village of gurus to get me going on my way. And I've had a lot of help along the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've really had a lot of help. I'm not sure that everyone that helped me wants to be publicly identified. But, that's a funny thing, eh? Like so much of that is so private. Well, I think I can mention a few people.
Yeah.
There's some people I'm not sure that they'd be okay with me talking about them.
Yeah.
But having said that, I think back to when I was hitchhiking, and so many people stopped and picked me up and said, "I've never picked up a hitchhiker before.
Yeah.
I don't know why I picked you up, but I am. I'm just picking you up." And that happened over and over and over again. And all of these incredible people would just carry me a few hundred miles or whatever down the road a little bit, and we would talk. And every one of those people were gurus to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But having said that, there was a woman named Marcia. After I came back from hitchhiking, I met her at university. And she's no longer here on Earth, so she won't mind if I talk about her, because she ain't here anyway.
Yeah.
And I was like questing like crazy, and she kind of took me under her wing. And I didn't realize it, I think, until after she had passed away, that she had been my first guru. And I used to, we were sort of neighbors, in West Broadway, and I used to go over to her apartment, at night, and we'd drink tea or have a drink or something, and we would talk all night long. She wasn't a lover, she wasn't my girlfriend, but she was just a friend who recognized that this stupid young man was trying to figure out what was going on in life.
Yeah.
And she was an enlightened being, She really was a guru for real. I didn't know it.
Yeah.
But she just was so patient. And she used to talk to me about that, that Bhagwan Sri Rajneesh guy who later became known as Osho.
Oh, yeah.
Osho. And so this was before he had turned into Osho. It was in the early days when it was called the Bhagwan or something.
Yeah.
And she told me a lot about him, and it was, I guess he was somebody that had inspired her a lot, and she in turn inspired me.
Yeah.
And years later, I was it was about 2 years after I opened the Perfumerie, and Marcia was on her deathbed. She was dying of cancer, and I was in the Perfumerie. It was early evening, and I'd been all night the previous night with her, as she was getting ready to pass. And I felt like I was having a heart attack. Like my chest, it just was exploding. And then it started snowing outside. And that lasted for 15 or 20 minutes, and then it passed. And I didn't really know what was going on, but it was just something that happened for a little while. And then it passed. And then about an hour later, I got the phone call and found out that at exactly that moment where my chest was exploding, that was the moment when she passed away. Yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah. There was just such a connection, eh? And she was one of the gurus, one of my gurus. some years later, there was another man that I met, and it was love. This was a man that somehow hit that part of the love part of me. And it was actually, I first met him with Marcia, now that I'm thinking about this. Yeah, maybe Marcia brought me to him on purpose. And I spent quite a bit of time with this fellow. And I would say he would come from the school of crazy wisdom, whatever that is. Google it if you want. And I think the first time that I ever understood what love was in his presence.
Okay.
Yeah. That's pretty cool, eh?
Yeah. How would you put words to that?
Love is indescribable.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, I've learned so much about love over the years since then. But yeah, before him, many people had loved me, but I hadn't known it. I hadn't recognized it. And he, he made me know that. I think you can find him on the internet. I think E.T. Nada. I'm not sure. But maybe check that out on the internet. E.T. Nada.
E.T. Nada.
Yeah.
So
extraterrestrial Nada.
So from
a pretty cool guy. Yeah, very cool guy. And and I spent a lot of time with him over the years. E.J. Gold, the author of the American Book of the Dead, which is here in the shop.
Yes.
And you know, I sell 2 or 3 copies of it a year. I mean, every once in a while, you know, somebody shows up in here and they really need that, and I sort of give people a little tour of it.
Yeah.
And I was with him in California back in the 80s. It was the same year actually when I went to the Parfumerie in California. Yeah, and in fact, the Perfumerie down there had been inspired by him. And at that point, I'd been having nightmares from traumatic events that had happened in my teens, and I guess it was almost 20 years of nightmares. And the expression PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, didn't even exist back then.
Yeah.
We didn't have language for that. But, you know, once again, when that language came along, you know, you go, oh yeah, that's what I had. And so I was with him and his associates in California, and I finally sort of got to this place of in consciousness, this conscious recognition of what I previously referred to in the conversation as no self, or the resurrected Christ.
Yeah.
And that happened to me for the first time when I was there with these guys. And on that very day, the nightmares ended.
Wow.
20 years of suffering with that. Just waking up every night screaming. And
that must have been very difficult. Beyond difficult.
For 20 years it was, but then it ended.
Yeah.
And then a few years, you know, and that was the same year that I came into this knowledge that I was going to get into the perfume world. It all happened at the same time. And so, but you know, going through that thing and finally putting that trauma behind me, you know, and getting to a place of being able to start living. It was great. So I would call E.J. Gold as a very significant guru on my path.
So it was his teachings that help you with that, or his presence, his community? What in particular about?
Yeah. I mean, he has a particularly unique way of presenting these ideas that it worked for me. It doesn't work for everybody, but it worked for me. And then, And then, his incredible kindness to me, and that all of these gurus have been so nice to me.
Yeah, love like E.T. Nada, they taught you to love.
Yeah.
J. Gold, kindness.
Yeah.
And your friend, she really made you feel seen, it seems like, and listened to and heard.
Yeah.
And so from these people, they've taught you a lot about service, and I'm sure. And what have you learned about how to best be of service to others from these people, and just through your 31 years plus of helping and serving?
Yeah, it's service. Yeah, it's a service.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I'm here to serve.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're absolutely right.
And what have you learned are the best ways to serve that? We're all here to serve. What nuggets of wisdom have you learned about service on your path?
Well, go to kindergarten. And yeah, I mean, what are you supposed to learn about in kindergarten? Share and be nice to other people.
Yeah.
Be kind.
Yeah.
Right?
Don't take too much.
It's so simple.
Yeah.
It's so simple. Yeah. And I mean, life is hard, eh? It's hard, and it's so easy to be kind to people. We all need it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Hearing people, listening to people. There's lots of folks that come in here for perfume who aren't accustomed to being heard. Or they're not accustomed to somebody really digging and going, okay, what do you really, really want?
Yeah.
Right? And other people have lots of experience with that, of course, but and being present with people where they are, wherever it is.
Mm-hmm.
I try to love everyone I meet, however I can.
Yeah.
Trying to be present.
Yeah.
And I recognize that as time has gone by, as the years have gone by, I'm getting better at it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just better at love. Yeah. Service. There's 1,000 faces of love. 1,000 kinds of love.
Yeah.
And service is one of those types of love.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's a huge learning.
Yeah.
And the continual learning. Mm-hmm. What else are you learning right now?
Electrical work. These old buildings, man. There's always. I did something last night that I've never done before, because I came back into the city from the lake, and you might notice it's a bit cool in the house.
Yeah. Yeah,
my furnace isn't working. And I thought it was a circuit breaker. I thought it was a bad breaker in the panel. And so last night I changed a circuit breaker for the first time ever.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I did it without getting electrocuted.
Well, thank God for that.
One of my comedy lines is that, I'm not getting older, I'm getting handier.
Yeah.
And with these old buildings, there's always stuff to fix, I gotta tell you.
Well, and there's always curiosity to stoke, so it's great that you're staying curious as you progress on this path. And what are you learning about perfumes? Like
nothing.
You know it all? You know it all already?
No, there's nothing. I'm learning nothing. I was sort of joking, and then I realized, wait, no, I'm serious.
You already knew it all.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying I know it all. Not at all.
It was always in you, and you're remembering what you already. That's kind of what I'm saying.
But just, recognizing the stillness in each of the spirits that are here, being still with every one of those spirits. That's what I mean by nothing.
Yeah.
Not trying to do anything.
Yeah.
Just being there with it. Yeah.
And returning, because I feel like that's where we started. We started with that, and then we forgot.
Well, I've developed my own cosmology, and in most of the big traditions, like the Bible and that, they start with light, eh?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, in the beginning the universe was void, and then the Lord or someone or another said, "Let there be light," or some variation of that theme. And it's occurred to me that that's not correct.
Okay.
I think that the first impulse is love. Yeah. I think love is the first space-time event. Yeah. And then all else falls from love. Yeah. Anyway.
I'm trying to think of the practical takeaways from that awareness and that awakening. How have you learned to love people better and more? From the depth of your essence. How can we all learn to love from the depth of our essence better?
People often ask, okay, what's the meaning of life? What's the point to life? You get the nihilists and go, there's no point to anything, no point in doing anything. I thought the phones were on airplane mode. And I would argue that the meaning of life, the whole point to life, for every one of us, is to learn how to love. That's your job as a human being.
Yeah.
Is to figure it out somehow or another. And everything else is secondary to that. And I'm just in the middle of, imagining a universe whose foundation is love. There's, everything in this universe, this apparent universe, it seems to be yes, no, binary, good, bad, up, down, light, dark, right? But a universe that's based on love, it's not binary. It's just love. And here we are apparently trapped in this binary situation, where we remember and forget and all those sorts of things. And I would propose that this is a very good time, there's a lot of conflict in the world right now. A bunch of really mean people doing terrible things, and lots of suffering. We have so much, and yet we suffer so much. And I would propose that being here in love is the way to go.
There's a verse in the Bible that has been really speaking to me. I read it every morning for the last month or so. 1 Corinthians 13. I don't know it off the top of my head, but it talks about how love is patient, love is kind. It is not boastful. It's not jealous.
Love
It's
is
not
love is
greedy.
1,000 things.
Yeah.
There's 1,000 ways to love. More than 1,000.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a few things the Bible gets right.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel that's one of them, and it's just like it's leaning into that truth, that knowing, that feeling, and those words are at the beginning of the thread that is the infinite capacity of love. It's a kind of a starting off point, a bouncing off point for me, and it talks about how love never gives up.
You keep coming back to this infinite business. So let's run with that for a moment.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So let's talk about the absolute.
Yeah.
So try imagining. Imagine that you're living in a universe. Not hard to do because it seems to be the case. With a lot of beings here on Earth,
Yeah.
and almost certainly beings all over the place, in other star systems and galaxies and planets, right?
Yeah.
It's hard to imagine that this universe has only us,
Yeah.
probably everywhere. And try imagining checking in to the joy of every being in the universe. Not quite infinite, maybe it's infinite, not sure, but I'm going to call that absolute joy. Being in that place where you're connected to all of the joy being experienced by all beings in the universe.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty cool, eh?
Feels good.
Pretty cool. Okay, now imagine checking in to all of the grief and sorrow experienced by all of the beings in this universe, in every universe that's ever been and ever will be.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What came to me?
That's rough, eh?
What came to me is it's also beautiful because it's like you said, everything begins in darkness, and from that darkness comes light.
I'm arguing against that darkness light thing.
Oh,
right.
I just feel like on the other side of grief, there's deep love.
Yeah.
And maybe I'm just messing up with the words, but like it's the
okay,
feeling like, yeah, if I lean into the deepest hurt of the planet, of everyone, the deepest grief, there is hope, there is love on the other side of that.
But just that imagining of infinite hope.
Yeah.
Imagining infinite sorrow.
Because
imagining infinite love.
Well, yeah, and then the end of that, 1 Corinthians 13, love overcomes every circumstance.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, and I know that to be true, and I know you've had many challenges in your life, and we've made it out better than before.
Mm-hmm.
This just remain rooted in that.
Another one of the gurus that I encountered along the way, I was on the road, I was in Toronto, and I think by this time it was probably the late 90s, maybe 97, 98, something like that. And I walked into a little Tibetan type of store.
Yeah.
And it was run by Tibetans who were selling artifacts from Tibet.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a Tibetan man that was in there that greeted me. And he took my hand. He looked me right in the eye. He shook my hand. And then he said, "Michael, it's so nice to see you again." I'd never seen him in my life, but he was asserting that he knew me from some past situation.
Yeah.
And I mean, there was such a beautiful energy around this man. He was a very special person. I could feel it. I could tell. And I spent a little bit of time with him, and I asked him about his life, and his story about his exit from Tibet, and he told me that the Chinese soldiers had murdered his entire family, his wife, his children, his parents. He was the only one that got out alive. And then I said to him, "You must hate the Chinese." And he said, "No, I love the Chinese.
Yeah.
I love the Chinese." And he was so clearly full of joy. You know, what he had lost was, you know, I had suffered up until that time. You know, I had thought I knew something about suffering.
Yeah.
But you know what I had lost in my life and what I had suffered was nothing compared to this. Eh?
Yeah.
And you know we can't go around making comparisons anyway. But and you know the lesson for me that day, you know, was about success.
Okay.
And I realized that day that real success, the greatest success that anyone can experience in life is, you know, to go through hell, to lose everything, and then somehow find a way to be smiling, to somehow find a way to joy after losing everything. There's no greater success than that for anyone. And and I've thought back to that afternoon many, many times, you know, when I'm having a rough go of it.
Yeah. How was that man able to do that?
Yeah. Well, and just knowing and experiencing him doing that, you know, has empowered me, motivated me to seek that. Yeah. You know, when I start getting down on myself and
to be that. Beautiful. I just have a couple more questions before we wrap this up, and one pertains to someone listening here that they've just been really inspired by something you've said in this conversation, that they're clear where they are is not where they are capable of being. Like they have there's two paths, I like to say. There's a path of should and a must. And so the path of shoulds are things you've been told by society, culture, your parents, school. It's kind of the safe path. It's the conventional path. It's the path walked by, predictable. Versus the path of must, and that's like that calling in the heart. That's that voice that spoke to you in that store with Rosemary many, many, many years ago, where you first took that first smell of that incense, that essence of frankincense.
It was frankincense,
that essence of frankincense.
Yeah.
That must, and so they're stuck at that crossroad. They're feeling a call. Maybe it's like they go hitchhike, like Michael, and maybe they take that gap year. Maybe it's start a tutoring business, right? That's what you did, a tutoring business after your degree. Working for themselves rather than working for another. Who knows? The people listening, they know what their must is. And generally, I feel we all do. We have a lingering of its essence on our nose. But all the things we've been conditioned to and told keeps us stuck on that path of should. What have you learned about that path, that crossroads of should and must, and what advice would you have to this listener?
Listen to your heart. Follow your heart. You know, pathways with heart are the only worthwhile pathways to follow in life.
Yeah, and then like the voice.
Follow your heart.
Yeah.
Just follow your heart.
You can't do no wrong there. Because even if you follow your heart and you fail, then what?
Keep following your heart. Keep following your heart.
That's beautiful. So that may have been the answer to this next question. Or so you may have said it earlier, but what has been the greatest life lesson through all the highs and lows of this hero's journey you've been on, Michael? What is the greatest life lesson you've learned on your path that you feel called in this moment right here and now to share with me and anyone listening in?
I've got a great answer to that question. But where is it? It might come to me an hour from now.
Yeah, but just in this moment now, what do you feel is a life lesson that you want to share with us?
No, but like there's that
something important
thing though where I hear your question.
Yeah.
And it's a good question, and it's an important question.
Yeah.
And you know what's coming to mind for me right now? There's a song that Neil Young did.
Yeah.
I think, is it called, what's the name? The chorus in the song is, I can't even quite remember the name of the song, but it goes like, it's only castles burning, find someone who's turning, and you will come around. It's an expression of this idea that no matter what's happening in any here and now that you're in, that anyone is in, there's a way through. There's always a way through. There's always possibility, no matter what. Stay real, stay authentic, stay true to yourself, no matter what happens. I've got a better answer to that.
I think that's great.
It might have to go to,
There's always can be better, right? And that's the trap that we can get caught on. There always can be better. Like this could be, I could have this more. It's a hedonic treadmill to nowhere.
It's such an important question that you're ending our interview with, and I'm wishing I had something better to say.
Well, there's one final question. Maybe it's going to come up with from here.
Okay.
So the final question. We've played around with time. We've examined your past. We've examined your present, and we're going to transport us into the future. And we're going to be alongside an 85-year-old Michael. I don't know how many years away that is, but it's a fair amount away. An 85-year-old Michael. Who is that man? Where are you? Who are you surrounded by? What are the predominant feelings in your being, in your essence? And what is the legacy you've left in your years?
Well, you know those old musicians, those old jazz musicians? They just keep playing and performing, and then they just drop dead on stage one day. I think I'm in that camp.
Okay.
I mean, I think I'll just keep working and keep doing this work. As long as my body is functioning. And but I'm quite sure that by the time I'm 85, I'm going to have a really good answer to that previous question.
How will you feel it? How will you feel at 85? Like, what are the predominant feelings in your essence, in your soul?
Well, at that point, you know, you're getting ready to die. You know. So. Although who knows, eh?
Aren't we always just getting ready to die?
Well, it's true, eh? I mean, here's some really good advice. Live every day on earth as if it's going to be your last. You've heard that one before. Because man, it's like, it's very beautiful when somebody dies of old age, for sure. But there's lots of tragedies and accidents and crazy things that shorten people's lives. Eh?
We take a lot of stuff for granted.
And so you never know. You never know when, the game is up. No one does. And almost everybody dies.
So we talked about the importance of breath when it comes to taking in the spirit of of these essential oils, these perfumes. So I invite you just to close your eyes with me and take a breath, and let's let's smell, let's savor the essence of that 85-year-old Michael. So I want you to envision him in your mind's eye, in your heart. Just familiarize yourself with that 85-year-old man.
Mm-hmm.
Sit with them.
Mm-hmm.
And ask him. You don't even need to ask him anything because he's going to whisper something.
Well, he's already answered.
Yeah, what did he say to you?
Well, he didn't say anything. It was just bliss. It was just straight up bliss.
Okay.
Yeah.
And from that place, I want him to send you a message. Current day, Michael. What do you
That
think
was the
you'd
message.
share?
Bliss.
Just say bliss.
Bliss was the message.
Lead into that.
Yeah. Well, it just, I mean, I think I don't believe that bliss is anything that anyone should ever aim for. Bliss isn't something to be chased or sought because it just becomes another form of materialism.
Yeah.
Spiritual materialism.
Yeah.
But 85-year-old Michael just blissed all over me.
Okay.
That's all that happened. Right?
Yeah.
You asked me to close my eyes and check in with him.
Yeah.
And that's just what happened. And, you know, sometimes you'll walk into a room with and there's some really enlightened being in the room.
Yeah.
Right? And you know it instantly because their bliss just washes through all over you and all over the room, right? And 85-year-old Michael,
he knows how to do that.
Was like that.
Yeah. Well,
I'm hoping.
Yeah.
I'm hoping.
Yeah, and I hope I learn how to do that too.
Well, that's what, you know, it was, you know, another very good, you know, sort of question or suggestion from you there.
Yeah.
And as soon as you started making that suggestion, the bliss just started washing over me.
Yeah, that essence.
Right away. You weren't even finished making your statement. And,
yeah.
And there it was. So thank you.
Well, thank you. This has been like a real pleasure to get to hear more about your story and share this space with you.
Yeah.
I really honor your time and everything you've created here in this beautiful building and in this community and the thousands and thousands of people here in Winnipeg and around the world you've helped spiritually.
God, let's hope, right?
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
You're telling me like this place is kind of it's not really a perfume business, it's a spiritual business undercover. That's something.
Well, I guess for me, it's like a school. Like, think of a school of fish.
Yeah.
Okay? And so that's what the perfumery is. It's like a school of fish.
Yeah.
A spiritual school of fish.
Yeah. Co-creation.
And you know, the business is just fluff.
Yeah. It's an opportunity for spiritual conversations and connection.
Yeah. I mean, it's the spiritual connection, you know, with our community.
Yeah.
That's why I'm here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
that's why I'm here.
You're so blessed to be able to experience that, share that, and it's something that you've created because you believed in yourself.
It hasn't been just me. Like I said, man, I've had so much help.
Yeah.
And so I really am so grateful to so many people that have kept me going, that have kept me here on earth. And, supported me along the way.
Yeah. And for anyone wanting to connect with you, they can find La Parfumerie. I think I said it right this time, or maybe in Winnipeg, here in Wolseley, and they can find your website nothingperfume.com.
Yeah.
Any last words or anywhere else to send them to close?
Have fun.
Have fun.
Have fun. Okay.
Well, we sure did. Thanks for listening, everyone, and it's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Yeah.
Blessings, brother.
Yeah.
Yeah, love you.
Okay. Yeah. Love.